Summer 1386, the valley of Pločnik in southern Serbia. 40,000 Ottoman soldiers, cavalry, infantry, archers pour through the mountain passes, expecting another easy conquest. They have already taken Bulgaria. They have crushed Byzantine resistance. Serbia is next, and the Ottomans believe it will fall within weeks. Their commanders ride at the front of the column, confident, discussing how they will divide Serbian land among themselves. Then the valley erupts. 6,000 Serbian knights in full-plate armor charge from the tree line, smashing into the Ottoman vanguard like a steel avalanche. The sound is deafening, metal on metal, horses screaming, men dying in seconds. The Ottoman light cavalry tries to retreat, but there is nowhere to go. The valley is a trap. And by sunset, 40,000 invaders will be dead or fleeing south, leaving behind their weapons, their supplies, and their reputation of invincibility. How does an army outnumbered 7-1 achieve total victory? How does Serbia hand the Ottoman Empire its first devastating defeat in the Balkans? And why did Western historians try to erase this battle from the record, burying a triumph that would expose their own failures to stop Ottoman expansion? The year is 1371, the Battle of Maritsa. A combined Serbian-Bulgarian army of 70,000 men attacks an Ottoman force at night, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they walk into an ambush. Ottoman scouts detected them hours earlier. The Christian army is slaughtered. Some sources say 50,000 killed in a single night. The Serbian emperor Stefan Juraš dies shortly after from the shock of the defeat. Serbia fractures. The empire collapses into competing principalities. To the north, Prince Lazar Hrebeljanović rules from Kruševac. To the south, Prince Vuk Branković controls Kosovo and Macedonia. To the west, smaller lords carve out territories. The unified Serbian state that had dominated the Balkans for a century is gone, replaced by a patchwork of weak princedoms. The Ottomans see opportunity. Sultan Murad I begins planning the conquest of Serbia, intending to use it as a springboard for invading Hungary and eventually Central Europe. Serbian territory is strategically vital. It controls the mountain passes and river crossings that connect the Balkans to the Danube Plain. If Serbia falls, all of Christian Europe is exposed. Before diving into this forgotten story of impossible victory, if you enjoy learning about the battles that Western historians deliberately buried, consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more content like this. And please comment below to let me know where you're listening from. I find it incredible that we're exploring these forgotten triumphs together from different parts of the world, connected across time and space by our shared fascination with the warriors history tried to erase. Prince Lazar understands the danger. He is 43 years old in 1386, a military commander who rose through the ranks before claiming leadership after the Maritsa disaster. He knows the Ottomans will invade. He knows Serbia cannot match their numbers, so he does not try to match them. Instead, he builds a defensive strategy designed to turn Serbia's weaknesses into strengths. First, fortresses. Lazar orders the construction and reinforcement of defensive positions across southern Serbia, not massive stone castles that take years to build, but smaller fortified towns and wooden palisades positioned to control key roads and river crossings. These are not meant to stop an Ottoman army. They are meant to slow it down, to force the invaders to split their forces, to create opportunities for ambush. Second, scorched earth. Lazar issues orders to Serbian villages near the Ottoman border. When the invasion comes, burn your fields. Drive your livestock into the mountains. Poison your wells. Leave nothing for the enemy to forage. Make every mile they advance a logistical nightmare. Third, intelligence. Lazar recruits spies from among Serbian merchants and monks who travel freely in Ottoman territory. They report troop movements, supply routes, commander personalities. By the time the invasion begins, Lazar knows more about the Ottoman army than its own officers. And fourth, the one advantage Serbia has that the Ottomans cannot counter: heavy cavalry. Serbian knights are armored head to toe in plate steel, riding massive warhorses bred for carrying weight. Ottoman cavalry is light, fast, perfect for raiding and skirmishing. But in a direct collision, Serbian heavy cavalry is a battering ram that nothing can stop. Lazar just needs to force that collision. The date is late spring, 1386. Sultan Murad I orders the invasion. The Ottoman army estimates range from 35,000 to 45,000 men, crosses into Serbian territory under the command of two experienced generals, Shahin Pasha and Timurtash Pasha. Their orders are straightforward. March north through the Toplica and Morava valleys, crushing any resistance, and force Prince Lazar to either submit or fight a battle he cannot win. The invasion begins well for the Ottomans. They burn several small Serbian fortresses, scatter local militias, and advance rapidly through the valleys. The Serbian peasants have fled, leaving empty villages and scorched fields. The Ottomans find no supplies, but they have their own logistics train, supply wagons following the army, carrying food and equipment. For 2 weeks, the Ottoman army marches deeper into Serbia, encountering minimal resistance. Their scouts report that Prince Lazar's main force is somewhere to the north, likely preparing to defend Kruševac. The Ottoman commanders are confident. They have numbers, they have momentum, they have the psychological advantage of the Maritsa victory still fresh in everyone's memory. They have no idea what is waiting for them at Pločnik. Lazar has chosen his battlefield carefully. The valley of Pločnik is narrow, bordered by forested hills on both sides. The main road through southern Serbia runs directly through it. There is no way to bypass it without adding days to the march and exhausting the army. The valley floor is open enough for the Ottomans to deploy their forces, but not wide enough for them to use their full numerical advantage. And the forests on the hills provide perfect cover for Serbian forces to hide until the moment of attack. Lazar positions his 6,000 men, primarily heavy cavalry, supported by infantry and archers, in the forests on both sides of the valley. They wait in absolute silence, horses muzzled, armor wrapped in cloth to prevent noise. Some are professional soldiers. Many are lesser nobles and their retinues. Volunteers who understand this might be their last chance to stop the Ottoman advance. They have been waiting for 3 days, living off dried meat and water, watching Ottoman scouts pass through the valley without detecting them. The trap is set. Now Lazar waits for the prey. The date is late June, 1386. The exact date is lost to history, but Serbian chronicles place the battle in midsummer. The Ottoman army enters the Pločnik Valley in the early morning, moving in a long column. Shahin Pasha rides near the front with the cavalry vanguard. Timurtash Pasha commands the center with the Janissary infantry. The baggage train, supply wagons, camp followers, prisoners, stretches for miles behind them. The Ottomans are not careless. They have scouts ahead and on the flanks. But the scouts see nothing alarming, just empty hills and forest. The valley appears undefended. The Ottomans believe the Serbians are retreating, possibly abandoning southern Serbia entirely. This is what Lazar wants them to believe. By midday, the entire Ottoman vanguard, approximately 15,000 cavalry, is inside the valley. The center with the infantry is entering. The baggage train is still outside, strung along the road. This is the moment. The Ottomans are split, their forces divided by terrain, unable to support each other quickly. Prince Lazar gives the signal. Serbian war horns blast from the hills. 6,000 knights explode from the forests on both sides of the valley, charging down the slopes in 2 massive wedges aimed directly at the Ottoman cavalry. The impact is catastrophic. Serbian heavy cavalry crashes into the lightly armored Ottoman horsemen like a steel hammer. Ottoman riders are thrown from their mounts, trampled, crushed by the weight of the charge. Their composite bows and sabers are useless at close range against full-plate armor. They try to retreat, but the valley is too narrow, the Serbian charge too fast. Within minutes, the Ottoman vanguard disintegrates into chaos, men fleeing, horses panicking, officers screaming orders that no one follows. Shahin Pasha tries to rally his cavalry, but he is cut off from his men. According to Serbian sources, he is killed in the initial charge, his bodyguards slaughtered around him. Timurtash Pasha, commanding the center, sees the disaster unfolding and orders his janissaries to form defensive lines. But the Serbians are not targeting the infantry. They are focused entirely on destroying the cavalry, knowing that once the Ottoman horsemen are gone, the infantry will be vulnerable. The battle becomes a slaughter. The Serbian cavalry wheels and charges again, smashing into Ottoman formations that cannot hold. Serbian infantry and archers emerge from the forests, targeting isolated groups of enemy soldiers. The Ottomans try to retreat south, but the narrow valley creates a bottleneck, men and horses jamming the road, unable to move, easy targets for Serbian arrows. By late afternoon, the Ottoman army is routed. Thousands are dead. Thousands more are fleeing through the mountains, abandoning their weapons and equipment. The baggage train is captured intact, food, weapons, gold, prisoners. Timurtash Pasha escapes with remnants of the center, but the vanguard is annihilated. If you're enjoying this revelation of forgotten military genius, a like really helps share these buried histories with more people who need to know that the warriors who actually stopped Ottoman expansion were never the Western Crusaders. They were the Eastern Europeans fighting alone. The casualty numbers are staggering. Serbian chronicles claim 40,000 Ottoman dead. This is almost certainly exaggerated. Medieval sources always inflate enemy casualties. Modern historians estimate the Ottomans lost between 15,000 and 25,000 men killed, wounded, or captured. Even the conservative estimate represents a catastrophic defeat, over half the invading army destroyed in a single day. Serbian losses are minimal, perhaps 500 to 1,000 killed. The asymmetry is shocking, but it makes tactical sense. Serbian heavy cavalry, properly deployed, was nearly invincible against light cavalry in close combat. The Ottomans never had a chance once the charge connected. The psychological impact is even greater than the tactical victory. For 15 years, the Ottoman Empire has been expanding into the Balkans unopposed. Armies flee before them, cities surrender without fighting. The reputation of invincibility drives conquests as much as actual military power. And now, for the first time, that reputation is shattered. A small Serbian force has destroyed an army 7 times its size. Sultan Murad I is furious. The defeat at Pločnik does not cripple his empire. He has armies fighting in Anatolia and elsewhere in the Balkans, but it is a humiliation. Ottoman expansion into Serbia stops. For 3 years, there will be no major invasions, as Murad consolidates power and plans a more careful campaign. Prince Lazar uses those 3 years to rebuild Serbia's defenses, recruit more soldiers, and strengthen alliances with neighboring states. But he knows this is only a reprieve. The Ottomans will return, and when they do, they will come with overwhelming force, determined not to repeat the mistakes of Pločnik. The Battle of Kosovo in 1389 is that return. Murad personally leads an army of at least 40,000 men, some sources say closer to 60,000, and meets Lazar's forces in open battle on the Kosovo field. This time, the Ottomans do not walk into a trap. This time they are prepared for Serbian heavy cavalry. The battle is fierce, brutal, and lasts all day. Both Murad and Lazar are killed. The result is technically a draw, but strategically, it is an Ottoman victory because Serbia's military power is broken. Kosovo overshadows Pločnik in historical memory. The tragic death of Prince Lazar, the mythology of Serbian martyrdom, the centuries of Ottoman rule that follow, all of this makes Kosovo the legendary battle. Pločnik is forgotten, reduced to a footnote, but the forgetting is not accidental. Western European chronicles barely mention Pločnik. When they do, they minimize its significance, describing it as a minor skirmish or attributing the victory to luck. Why? Because acknowledging that Serbia won a decisive battle against the Ottomans would expose uncomfortable truths. It would reveal that while Western Europe's crusader armies were failing spectacularly, losing at Nicopolis in 1396, at Varna in 1444, Eastern Orthodox states like Serbia were winning battles through superior tactics and leadership. Western historians needed the narrative that Christian Europe required Western knights to save it from the Turkish threat. Admitting that Serbians, Hungarians, Wallachians, and Moldavians were doing the actual fighting and winning would undermine papal authority, crusading ideology, and the political justifications for Western intervention in the East. So Pločnik was erased, not officially, not dramatically. Just quietly omitted from the grand narrative, buried in obscure chronicles, ignored by the historians who wrote the textbooks. And for 6 centuries it stayed buried. Today there is a small monument at Pločnik, erected in the 1980s. It marks the site where 6,000 Serbian knights stopped an empire. Locals know the story, Serbian historians teach it. But in the West, the battle remains almost unknown, overshadowed by Kosovo, overshadowed by crusader defeats, overshadowed by the deliberate amnesia of chroniclers who could not admit that the real heroes of Christian resistance were not the knights in Western Europe, but the warriors on the frontiers who fought alone. If you found the Battle of Pločnik as astonishing as I did, please give this video a like. It really helps the algorithm share this hidden history with more people who deserve to know that the greatest victories against the Ottoman Empire were won by the soldiers Western historians tried to erase. And if you want to dive deeper into the battles, tactics, and forgotten triumphs that textbooks won't teach, make sure you're subscribed. I have a question for you to answer in the comments. If you had been Prince Lazar, knowing that even after winning at Pločnik you would still face an inevitable larger invasion, would you have fought at all? Or would you have submitted to Ottoman vassalage to spare your people? I read every comment, and I'd love to hear your perspective on whether delaying the inevitable is worth the cost in lives. Next time, we're uncovering the story of the warrior monk who raised an army of peasants, defeated a professional military force 3 times his size, and was executed for treason by the very kingdom he saved. You won't want to miss it. The Valley of Pločnik is quiet today. Farmers work the fields where 40,000 men once died. The forests on the hills are still there, sheltering birds instead of armored knights. But the memory endures, a memory of 6,000 warriors who refused to accept that numbers decide battles, who turned terrain into a weapon, who proved that courage and tactics can overcome any advantage. Prince Lazar died at Kosovo 3 years later, but at Pločnik he won. He gave Serbia 3 more years of independence. He shattered the myth of Ottoman invincibility. He proved that the defenders of Christendom were not the crusaders who arrived with fanfare and left in defeat. They were the soldiers who stayed, who fought, who died defending their homes. The West forgot them. History tried to bury them, but in the Valley of Pločnik, where steel met steel and 6,000 defeated 40,000, their legend remains unbroken.